Hey guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a mixed bag of things. Ooh. So this video is going to be part vlog from my recent trip to Oslo. It's going to be part haul. I bought a couple of things while I was there. And it's also going to be part urban sketch / plein air drawing. So I very much enjoy art, but I've never properly painted or drawn or created art like out in the real world. I normally take pictures and then I get home and I draw, paint, whatever from those pictures. But on my recent trip to Oslo, I decided to take a really little sketchbook, and I didn't necessarily have any proper plans to do it, but I did it and I was very, very happy with what I did. So first of all, Oslo, amazing. It was my 4th time there. Absolutely love it. I've only ever been in sort of the summer or in October, which are relatively warm times of the year. But I saw on Visit Oslo's Instagram, their stories, there was a lot of snow about, and I was like, you know what? I'm booking my tickets. So I booked tickets there about 2 weeks before I went. I already had the week off work, but I decided what I was going to do with that week was go to Oslo. So because it was last minute and I only went for a few days, I only went with the under the seat baggage, which made my trip £33 round trip. Gotta love it. And because of that, I had very little space. So this is the bag that I took with me to take out and about, to have on me. If you know, you know. So that's really small, and this had to have my phone battery in, it had a bag in case I wanted to buy stuff, it had like some important things in here, so there was really not much space to take art supplies with me. So what I ended up taking was this tiny sketchbook and these 3 pens. So let me show you these a little bit closer. These pens have 10 different colours on them. So this one's like pinky purpley, we have this one that's blue, a little bit greeny. And then finally this one, which is yellow, reddish, brownish. And this is all I took with me to do art with. And I think this is why I actually succeeded, because I do a lot of watercolour stuff, and it just is such a mission to take watercolours out. You need the paints, you need to water, you need a brush, you need somewhere to like wipe the brush. But this is so simple, and I think this is the reason that I actually did it, and I loved it. So let's get into the trip. First of all, my flight was quite late, so I got into Oslo at about 10 past 10 at night. So yeah, the first day didn't do anything other than finding my Airbnb, getting there and getting some food. But a fun thing with my Airbnb, they had a cat, so I had a little fun cat time. They showed me where the treats were, so you know, maybe I gave some treats to the cats every single day I was there. Sue me, obviously I'm gonna. But yeah, that was my first day. Ate some food. It was called Max Burger. It was nice. And then went to sleep. The next day, I was only there for 2 and a bit days. So the next day, I literally just walked around. Like I say, I've been to Oslo 3 times before, but I love it. I just love the whole atmosphere. I love just being in Oslo. It just makes me feel at peace. I ended up doing like 36,000 steps on that day. And while I was there, I did some drawing. So we're going to get straight into this. I say straight into this, we're already several minutes in, but let me zoom in. I took these with me. This yellow pen, this colour right here is what I did my sketching with because it was really faint, and then everything else I did on top of it. But yes, here is my sketchbook. So the first day, 9 o'clock, I wrote the time and the date. My first drawing was of the Oslo Opera House. This is a very iconic building in Oslo. You can go up the top, so you can go all the way onto the roof. Not at this time though, there was a barrier there because it was snowing, it was too slippery and they didn't want people to like break themselves on it. But usually you can go all the way up on the top of the roof. But yeah, this was my first one. I took it in my bag as a whim, like the sketchbook. I didn't know if I was going to use it, but as soon as I was like, you know what, I'm going to stand and I'm going to draw this, And then I just loved it and carried on. So yeah, here's the Oslo Opera House. As you can see down the sides, the pens were a bit scratchy, so I had to keep scritching them to make sure the colour came out. But they absolutely did the job. After that, here's the next one, 920. As you can see, I was very much in the mode to draw. And this is Salt Art and Music, so it has sauna, cultural venue and restaurant in here. I just thought it looked really cool with all the different buildings. We had the colourful flags that kind of drew the whole thing all together. And yeah, I just sat and I drew this. And it was very, very nice. Cold, not crazy cold though. I think it was -11. -11 feeling like -16. But honestly, as someone from England, it didn't feel like cold. Even though we're normally at like -1 or 2 at the most. But I was on the aeroplane and the guy next to me said that he was in England the week before and 3 degrees felt colder than Oslo's -16. And I agree. It wasn't that bad. Next up we have this one. So this is at the Akershus Fortress. This is a medieval castle that was built in 1299, and I just thought this looks really cool with all of the sort of stone here and the little windows. This one was done at 9:51, so I very much was in the drawing zone. After that, this one was at 11:42, so a little bit later on, and this is the Astrup Fearnley Museum of Modern Art. I think the building looks really cool. I've never been inside it before because I find modern art a little bit hit and miss. Sometimes it can be incredible, sometimes it's a banana on the wall, sometimes it's a white canvas that goes for millions. So yeah, potential for me to go in there at some point one time I'm in Oslo, but it's definitely not the thing that I'm just like super interested in because a lot of modern art I don't understand. But yes. And then the next one is this one. So this is at 1:17, a little bit later. So I did take the boat over. There's a boat that goes over every hour, I believe. When it's in winter, it's a bit more frequent in summer. But they go over every hour to all of the fjord islands. So this is at Hovedøya. There's a monastery ruins there. This is from 1147 when it was built. And it was super icy here, guys. I'm sure I'm inserting clips. But yeah, it was nice and crunchy around it. But as soon as you got to the bit that people were walking through a lot, it was icy. I was walking so slowly, a little bit scared. This is a cool bit because this, you can actually go upstairs. So I walked up and I was up here and then I came back down. But yeah, I just thought it looked really cool. I liked the vibe of it. It's kind of similar to the Akershus Fortress one in that it's like a tall bit of thing, but it's different, so I like it. I like buildings. What can I say? This one, now this, you're probably looking at that and thinking, what the hell is that? This one, it says 1:46 I did this. I did this in about 20 seconds, which is why it looks an absolute mess. Because one of the other islands, I think it was Lindøya, has all of these houses. So they have green, red and yellow summer houses just all over the island, and it looks really pretty. And I was on the boat at this point. I'd been at Hovedøya for like an hour, got the ferry, and then from there it drops everybody else off to all the other islands and then back to the pier. So I was on there and I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I wish I had time to draw that. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. So yeah, at that point they'd already docked and they'd started lifting up and they were running away. So as you can see by the video, we were long gone by the time that I actually took the video, which was like a millisecond after I drew this. But I do have another clip that shows you sort of the cool houses a little bit closer. But yeah, I debated when I did this. I was like, oh, I'll finish it off or do a bit more later. But then I was like, you know what, no, because this is the reality of what I saw and what I had time for at the time. And yeah, it looks a mess. And if I didn't tell people what it was, you probably wouldn't understand. But I like the fact that I tried to do a drawing in 20 seconds and I achieved something. So I'm proud of that. I like that. Next up, so I went to get some food. Finally, this I drew at 3:45. I was just on my phone and I was looking for somewhere that wasn't super expensive because I was right in the middle of Oslo. So I was like, I don't mind walking a few minutes, and somewhere that like had food that sounded nice. I wasn't looking at what they were called, and when I got here and looked up, I realised it was actually called the Amundsen Brewery and Eatery. And if you don't know, Amundsen is one of the polar explorers, and I am very much into polar exploration, which you will find out even more as the video goes on. But I just thought it was fate that I went to somewhere called the Amundsen Brewery and Eatery and had a great time. So the food I had there was fish and chips, very nice, but I just demolished that straight away. I didn't have time to draw it. So this was my drink, and then the salt and pepper pots. There we go. And then this is the last one that I did on the first day. This is at 4:39. At this point, the sun was going down. It's February in Oslo. And also, this is the first one that I actually thought, wait a minute, I can wear gloves while I'm doing this. So yeah, all the other pages, my hands were freezing afterwards because I was drawing them. I took my gloves off to draw for some reason. Because I didn't have gloves that worked with the phone, I kept taking them off when I was like taking videos and pictures. So in my head I was like, oh, I'm drawing, I have to not have gloves on. But then I remembered, you can still hold a pen with gloves on. So yeah, that was a game changer. My hands weren't actual ice when I finished this one. But yeah, this is the Royal Palace. This was completed in 1849, and it is the official residence of the monarchy in Norway. I think it's a cool place. This again had lots of ice and snow and stuff. There was a little bit, there's normally stairs that go up to like a bit that's got a statue in it, but they were blocked off because we don't want people falling over and breaking themselves at the palace, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was the end of my day. Drawing anyway. I did walk around when the lights went out and just had a great time taking loads of pictures of really cool buildings, and they were all lit up. There's also this tree, I think it's called the Tree of Life, that looks like a real tree but it lights up, as you can imagine by the name. So yeah, saw that. Yeah, just had a nice little wander, which is why I had 36,000 steps at the end of that day. But yeah, let's move on to day 2. Oh, after this, by the way, I set my alarm to get up early, and when it went off, I was like, no, thank you. So I had like 10 hours sleep after doing all of these steps because I was knackered. But yes, let's get into day 2. So I mentioned it earlier, I'm a big fan of polar exploration, and the reason for that is based in Oslo. So the first time I ever went to Oslo, I went to the Fram Museum, which is the boat that's been to the North and the South Pole, and it's very epic and there's a lot of important stuff. I went there, loved it, and I've been back ever since. Like every time I go to Oslo, I can't help but going back to the Fram Museum. And then this time was no different, so I went to the Fram Museum. First of all, it was a nice little bus journey because I did so much walking the day before. I was like, it's going to be nice to have a little sit on a bus. Side note, actually, really cool thing that I wish every Airbnb did because it's such a good idea. The Airbnb that I was at came with a free travel pass. So that's bus, trams, trains and boats. So how cool is that? It's such a good idea. So I didn't have to worry about getting tickets and downloading all the apps and all that stuff. So a bonus for that. Never thought about that before, but it's such a good idea. So yeah, got to the Fram. This is a painting there. It's called Nansen and Johansen of the Arctic by Otto Ludvig Sinding, from 1901. And I was wandering around and I saw this painting. I was like, that looks really cool, so I'm going to do a little study of it. So I did. This one was at 11:28. As you can see, it's a lot later than my last one. I didn't even get to the Fram Museum at opening. I got there like 40 minutes after it opened because I was just sleeping and I did not want to get up. But yes, I did that one. And then this one at 11:47. This is the Fram. So, oh, it's Norwegian for forward. That's what the word Fram means. But yeah, this is a big boat, and if you're into polar exploration, you will know that it's a very important boat that's been on a lot of important journeys. But yeah, this is the museum. It's really cool because it was built around the boat. So the building opened in 1936. They pulled the boat up onto shore. They built a cool museum around it. There's stairs up here, and all of the exhibitions are like around it. And then you get on top of it and you go inside and you go all the way through the boat. It's super cool. I love it. I keep going back. I can't help it. And then the next one, this is at 12:19. So this one is I think it's the only one here that I took a little bit of liberties with. So these pots weren't in this order, but I wanted these different pots. The backgrounds was like photographs and stuff that had been taken on the expeditions. These are original enamelware from the 1910 to 1912 Roald Amundsen South Pole expedition. So yeah, a little bit of liberties with this one, but they were still there in real life, so it still counts. Then this one is a little bit later. This is at 12:48. Oh, let me get it in frame, might help. Let me zoom out a tiny bit actually. Yeah, this one is at 12:48, and this is inside the Fram. So this purple bit here was a table. I was sat on the seat, and this is looking into one of the cabins that held 3 men, or 4. I think it was 4 actually. I think they had 4 men, and the one beside it was meant to hold 4 men, but they held 5 in the actual expedition. But yeah, I was just having a nice little sit here. People were milling around, kept coming through, having a look. But I was just super enjoying being back in the Fram, to be quite honest. Love it. And then this one, oh, so this is like the most in real life at one time that I could do. This was at 4:01. So what I mean by that, because those words don't make any sense, is obviously I was drawing these people in real life, in real time, on the tram to the next place I was going. I didn't record a little video for this. I did take a picture after the fact, but this guy had already got off, so the picture sort of shows you the area, but it doesn't show you the actual scene. There was also a woman sat next to me, so I was like, I'm not going to film the back of these random people's heads because that feels a bit weird. And then he was gone anyway by the time I finished it. I was still doing this woman's hair and scarf when he left. But I really like this one because it was so in the moment, because any sort of building or stuff I can stand there and draw for as long as I want. But this one I only had as long as I had while I was on the transport, and as long as I had with these people actually sat there. They might have left at any point. So I actually really like this one. It's quite different to the rest of them, but I'm very glad that I did it. And then this one's a little bit of a rogue one again. First of all, it's upside down because I was holding it like this because I'm left-handed. And it was really cold, and this one was super quick. But this one was in the Ekeberg Park. So I went to the sculpture park. I've been there before. I think it might have even been like the first time I went. It's been quite a while anyway since I've been to this park. I don't know if you can tell, but these are trees. This is some stairs going down. These are trees in the background. But yeah, this one's a little bit scribbly all over the place as well. There was a lot of negative space because of all of the snow. But yeah, even though it's a little bit of a mess, I still like it. When I look at it, I can remember where I was. I'm sure anybody else looking at it is thinking, what the crap is going on? But yeah, this park was really snowy and icy. So there was a sculpture there that's been there, I think it was installed about a year ago, so I've not seen it before. And it was lights, and it's like these dangling crystal looking things that all light up, and there's music playing and stuff. It's very interactive in that sort of sense. But it's also very popular. And I went at the end of the day. It was already dark when I went, and it's on the top of a hill. So going up to this sculpture, there's literally like a walkway going up the hill, and on either side of it there's a bit of rope that you have to hang on to for dear life because it's like a sheer slope of ice. It's just ice. So many people were like, whoa, whoa, all over the shop. Luckily I used my brain and I held onto the rope, but I stood on the outside of the path, so it was still a little bit snowy. Still precarious, but I didn't fall over, so I'm very happy about that. And then when I got to the top, underneath was like completely like a sheet of ice as well, because people had walked underneath it and stuff. So I sort of walked to the outskirts and enjoyed it from slightly in but not in the middle because it was a lot. So this sculpture park, there's like a main path that goes around, and that had been, what's it called, salted, whatever. But all the other ones, all the sculptures that are sort of in the middle of the trees and stuff, they were just existing. There was another one I wanted to go and see, like specifically I thought, oh, it looked cool at sunset, because there's this one, what's it called? I think it's called The Dilemma, and it's really cool. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool to go and see that one again. But I got to sort of the bit in the tree line where I needed to walk down to get to this sculpture. I took about 3 steps and then went, what, a little bit, and I thought, you know what, I'm good, I've seen this one before. So yeah, it was very icy, but still had a lot of fun. And I met 2 dogs, which is always a bonus. It's also really cool because it's up, so you get a great view of Oslo, all lit up because it's night time. So yeah, that's also a bonus for going there. And there was quite a lot of people still about, considering that it already got dark. But again, one of the new sculptures do light up, so it makes sense that people would go when it's lit up, because it's not lit up in the day, I don't think. Or if it is, you're not going to be able to see it very well. But yes, that was the end of that day. And then the last day I only had a few hours to wander about. So I only did a couple of drawings here. So this is the first one. This is going over the bridge. So there's a bridge acrobat and pedestrian bridge. Where I was staying, I had to go over this bridge to get into like the main centre of Oslo. It goes over the train tracks. And because I'd gone over that a few times, I was like, you know what, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to draw this. Bearing in mind, it was snowing the most on this day. So these last 2 were kind of hard to get because I had to keep wiping the snow off the page because it was getting wet. It was a little bit, you know, it was precarious there. But we got there. I thought it was cool because it has all this graffiti and stuff on the side. So this is the bridge and this is the background. But yeah, I thought it'd be nice to commemorate that one. And that was at 9:33 on the 7th. And then the last picture I did was this one. And again, this is just some sort of electrical boxes, I'm guessing, or some boxes that fit something important in. And there was just graffiti on the side, so I thought it looked cool. And this was at 9:47. This one had the most snow and wet on, that's why there's so much scribbles on here, because my pen wasn't working because the paper was so wet. But yeah, that is the last one that I did. I did end up going to the City Hall for a little while. I did try and go on the first day, but it was closed for functions because it's a real place that the government and people use. So I went back there and had a little look around. All of the walls in the City Hall are absolutely covered in paintings, and I was like, you know what? I don't have it in me to try and draw and sketch any of these because it's a lot. And also I have about 40 minutes till I have to catch a train and go home. So yes, that was the last one. But we do have a little bit extra, and that is a haul. Ooh. So let's move this to the side and I'll show you the few things that I got in Oslo. The first 3 things are books that I got from Fram Museum. So I did tell myself, oh, you're not going to really buy many things in the museum because I had that tiny bag that went under the seat and it was pretty full. But I couldn't say no to these deals. Oopsie daisy. So I got 3 books while I was there. Whoops. The first one is Tragedies and Triumph in the North, Russian Exploration of the Arctic 1910 to 1915. This one I am currently reading as well. But yeah, this tells 4 different stories. I think 3 of them, it didn't end well for a lot of the people, aka dead. And I think one of them is the triumph that it mentions on the front. But yeah, I've not really read much about Russian explorations. I've not really read much about Russians and going to the poles and stuff, so I thought that'd be interesting, something a bit different. Then we have Karsten Borchgrevink, which is definitely not how you pronounce that, on the Southern Cross Expedition 1898 to 1990. And again, this is one that I've never really heard of, and if you look at the back it does say that it's sort of Southern Cross Expedition was the first to winter on the Arctic mainland. Its members brought home important scientific data. They made the first sledging journeys with dogs in Antarctica, proved that you could go on land in the Great Barrier, and set the farthest south record but his expedition is practically unknown outside people that like this sort of stuff. So I thought that would be interesting. He sounds like an important guy, but you know, not very well known. And then the last one I have is Into the Mists, Este Andre's balloon expedition towards the North Pole. And this one, oh hello, this one I have read about before. So in this book, The Expedition by Biosma, basically this expedition, they were in a balloon, it landed, no one knew what happened, and then like 30 years later people found the bodies of the men, but they didn't know why they died because they had enough clothing, enough ammunition, enough food, shelter to be able to have survived. So it was like this big thing, why did they die? So this book is like 100 years later looking at that, but this is going to go in more like just the actual behind the scenes of how they got together, how they went there, and probably some thoughts of what other people thought happened. So interesting. I also got two other things from museum. So I got a postcard. Basically I get a postcard everywhere I go because I have a little box that I put postcards in because it's something I like to collect. It's something very easy, cheap. I was going to say you can find them everywhere, but a couple of times I go places and they don't have them and it's well annoying. But yeah, something, a nice little souvenir, and it's easy to keep hold of. And then the last thing I got from Museum is this little pin, and it is a pin of the Fram. And all of this costs less than £10. Like, obviously I'm going to buy it, you know what I mean? These books were only 20 kroner each. They were on offer for 20 kroner, which is insane. That's like £1.50, £1.60. It's so cheap. Obviously, I'm going to buy them. So yeah, that's what I got from Museum. And then the last two things I'm going to haul are some snacks. So normally when I go abroad, you know when you go into like the airport and it's like, oh yeah, everything's dead cheap in here because we don't have tax on it. And then you look at everything, you're like, bro, this is more expensive than it. You can get it in a normal shop. What are you on about? That's normally what happens, but I actually found stuff in the duty free that was actually cheaper than in a shop, which is unheard of from me. So obviously I had to get some. First of all, I got 2 packets of Quick Lunch because I freaking love these. They're basically like Kit Kats but nicer. The chocolate's nicer, the wafer's nicer, they're amazing. They're so expensive in the shops in Norway. They must have like a crazy high tax on chocolate because there's like, I think it's like a £5 for a pack of 3 or something, which is insane. But there was 2 packs of 6 on offer, so obviously I had to get them. And then the other thing I got was Smash. This is an XL. Again, this bag, well, the smaller bags in the shops were about a £5, and the XL was like a little bit more than that. So it was just really good value, and I really like this. This is like savoury, crunchy things covered in chocolate. Salty, savoury, chocolatey, nice. But yeah, absolutely love both of these. Obviously I had to get some. And there we go, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a mix-up of several different things. With this, I got just over halfway, so I'm not 100% sure what to do with the rest of the stuff. Do I put pictures in of the places that I went to? Do I write a little bit of information about each place and numbering it so I remember? Do I leave it for another time and go back to a different place and like write the name on there and do it from the back, even though that bit's a bit scribbly and colourful? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I'm definitely looking forward to doing more plein air urban sketching out in the real world because I really enjoyed it. And I need to realise that just taking some pens or a pen is the easiest way. I don't need to be like, oh, I need a whole palette of watercolour and I need brushes and I need water and I need all this stuff. Or, oh, I need a little mini fancy sketchbook. No! These, I don't know how many. It's like 20 of these plain ones and 20 line ones in a pack from Amazon ages ago. Just like little notebooks. The paper's not the best, but it's not about the paper. It's about the experience and doing it. So yeah, definitely want to be doing that again. But yeah, say some words down below if you want. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. It's quite different to what I normally do, but I thought it'd be quite a fun one. especially considering I still haven't put out 3 real vlogs from the past year of places that I've been to. I thought this one with quick little clips in would be nice for Oslo. But yeah, subscribe if you want, like if you want, comment if you want, do all the things if you want. And I will see you in a few days or whenever with another video. Bye.